Today's experiment is about determining the heat of reaction when solid sodium hydroxide reacts with aqueous hydrochloric acid. The equipment we'll need for this lab today is going to be a coffee cup calorimeter that we fill up with some water to start with. Step 1 is going to be breaking down our process into two pieces. Dissolving solid sodium hydroxide to make an aqueous hydroxide solution. The second step is going to be neutralizing solid sodium hydroxide with aqueous hydrochloric acid. And the third part of our experiment today is going to involve the neutralization of aqueous hydrochloric acid with aqueous sodium hydroxide. The first step involved measuring out about 100 milliliters of water into a calorimeter and recording the mass. From there, we measured out the indicated amount of sodium hydroxide. From there, I measured the initial temperature of the water inside the calorimeter and make sure that my reading stays consistent for quite a while. After about 10 seconds of a consistent measurement, we add in our solid sodium hydroxide, place the lid on the calorimeter, and begin to swirl. You should notice the temperature begins to increase as you stir the reaction. You will be stirring for quite a while. Once the temperature on your thermometer has leveled off and stayed consistent for approximately 15 to 20 seconds, you'll know that you've reached the end of your reaction and you can record the maximum temperature for the first part of our experiment. The next part of our experiment is going to be looking at the reaction between solid sodium hydroxide and aqueous hydrochloric acid. Instead of water, this time I'm going to place about 100 milliliters of hydrochloric acid inside the coffee cup. Once I record the mass, I then measure out my desired amount of sodium hydroxide. And then I will record the temperature of the hydrochloric acid. Once the temperature stays the same for approximately 10 to 15 seconds, I will then add in the solid sodium hydroxide and cap the calorimeter. Be sure that you stir your solution thoroughly and consistently throughout the next few minutes. You will be stirring for quite a while. After stirring for quite a while, you'll notice that the temperature begins to level off and will eventually start to decrease. This is how you know you've hit the end of your neutralization reaction. The third phase of our reaction today is going to be the reaction between aqueous sodium hydroxide and aqueous hydrochloric acid. I've measured about 50 mils of our sodium hydroxide solution into the calorimeter. Both solutions have been sitting out overnight and have reached room temperature. It's safe to assume that the initial temperature of both solutions is the same. Once my temperature has been consistent, I will then add in my aqueous hydrochloric acid, cap the calorimeter, and begin to swirl until there's no longer an observed temperature change. Once the temperature has stopped changing, you'll remove the thermometer and weigh the contents of the calorimeter to get the final mass of the solution for use in your calculations.